By the time you head to the polls this fall to elect your municipal officials, the face of the Simcoe County government could look a little different. This month, the province unveiled Bill 100, which makes changes to regional government and slashes county council seats from 32 to 17. The idea, according to the province, is to move quicker on housing and infrastructure projects. Joining me now to discuss this is Council Member, Midland Mayor Bill Gordon. Good morning.
Good morning, Ramraajh.
Okay, so the minister says, he's getting politicians out of the way here to find efficiency. How do you feel about that?
Well, I am a supporter and have been a vocal supporter of smaller government in general. And smaller doesn't always mean less efficient or less effective. It really depends on the caliber of the voices at the table and what remains. So this reduction from 32 down to 16, and then the 17th being the Warden in our world, which is a chair in the regions, really has made sense. And matter of fact, every term of council for many, many years, like many terms, this has been debated and discussed and never been successful at the county level until this term.
Okay. And so currently you and your deputy mayor are both on county council. So if the bill passes, Midland will have one seat. Considering what you just said about, advocating for a smaller council, how are you feeling about having that shift in representation?
Well, I guess it's going to depend on what the voters do in the fall election, because this change doesn't take any effect in this term. This is for the next term. So if anything, it kind of shifts the burden to those who do come out and cast their vote, which, we see a lot of apathy in all levels of election. I think it becomes more important than ever to make sure you're sending the right people to your council table, and specifically to the mayor's position, because they will be your voice at the regional level or county level in our world. So I think it really just moves the onus to make sure you're sending quality over quantity.
Okay. And the province says, this is in an effort to get more homes built, more infrastructure projects. Do you think that this is the key here?
It may be in some other regions. Like, I'm not familiar with this dysfunction that appears to be driving this desire, especially to appoint, and it says may appoint, not necessarily shall, the chair or the warden. But I don't believe Simcoe County has experienced this level of dysfunction. We have really good collegial working relationships, and we labor over ways to make sure that official plans get passed and that zoning things that happen are improved in our lower tier municipalities. I don't believe that whatever impediments that are sort of the catalyst for this change in the province are occurring in Simcoe County or have been.
Okay, so then talk to me about the warden and their strong chairman's power here. Does that concern you at all?
It does, except now it feels like a little bit of karma. I can understand now the councillors' concerns when, in May, this was granted to the lion's share of the rest of mayors in Ontario, anybody with a council size of more than 6. I think it's more than 5, sorry. But the bottom line is there is the possibility that with a 16-member council, that chair and 3 other councillors could effectively, rule by decree. Once again, it's going to depend on the kind of person who's at that chair seat, who has the strong chair powers, and also on the ability for the councillors to really argue their points and override if they need to, or more likely convince and find compromises the way we do now as we try and, ratify decisions based on consensus.
Okay, so overall, do you think that the province is making the right move here with these proposed changes?
Well, we didn't ask for this. We did ask for a reduction in size. It was wasn't an easy path to get through, but we did achieve that internally. And we're only asking for the reduction. This concept of changing the who or how the chair is appointed or the warden's appointed, and the fact that it would be an unelected person appointed by the province. Again, this is, I believe, driven by perhaps drama or issues that the premier and the ministry is seeing in other municipalities. I don't believe it's something we've experienced, at least not in my term here. Except they're not just going to do it for 1 or 2 as they were before. They're going to broaden the scope. So I think we're just caught up in the changes because there's been problems or perceived problems in other regions.
One of the legal experts we spoke to about this last week had mentioned on the program that, this is a part of a broader pattern that he brought in some of other examples the province was making to have a bit more control about what's going on a municipal level or a county or regional level.
That's true.
Do you feel like that's the case?
Absolutely. I mean, we are the creatures of the province. That's the way we're set up. We've been either downloaded, mandates that we need to manage at a local level, or they exist defined in the Municipal Act, and these are our roles, but they're always subject to oversight, review, overturn by the province. There's really nothing we can do locally that isn't subject to some kind of appeal mechanism to the province. So they've always had this level of control, but I suspect rather than wanting to go through the time and delays of having local councils maybe make a decision that doesn't align with what the province's priorities are, and we exist to largely to serve those on behalf of our residents, and then have to go to an appeal process and induce the delay and costs and whatnot. I think perhaps this, I don't know this for a fact, but perhaps what's in their mind is, let's just avoid that, make sure that we have the key leadership aligned, and get things approved quicker, or denied if they legitimately need to be denied. We can't just rubber stamp and approve everything. But I think where the problem is I think if the province decided, well, let's go one step deeper and let's just appoint the councillors and the mayors in the municipalities, well, really, we cease to really exist then as an elected represented government. Now, they're not suggesting that.
Yeah.
But that is what it feels like by taking the chair position or the warden position selection out of our hands. And so that does concern me. But I mean, it's not one of those things I can really labor over. I try and focus on things that I have control over, things and set aside the things I don't. And this decision by the province, I feel, is largely made. They're asking for some feedback, but their will be done. And so I'm just thinking about ways that I would live within those confines if I'm lucky enough to be returned to the seat, after the 26th election in October.
Mayor, have you brought up these concerns with the province, the ones you have about this control?
I did briefly. I mean, after I sent sort of a text message of thanks to both Minister Flack and the Premier for their consideration in honoring our request, I did say that, hey, this was a bit of a shock about the appointed warden. Hopefully we'll get some say in it. And I was relieved to see that, the wording is not prescriptive, and that, it doesn't say they shall appoint the warden. It just says they may. And so that gives me a little bit of hope that if we can show that we don't have dysfunction and we have a good plan in place on how to get to a good warden position who's willing to support provincial priorities, and we can do that on our own, I think that'll go a long way. So I think that's our next lobby.
Right. I mean, has this, these changes, has this changed your willingness to be, taking on these municipal roles as mayor, but even on a county council?
No, I mean, the nice thing about county council is even though we're sent there by virtue of our status in each of those member municipalities, we don't go there I don't go there wearing the Midland mayor hat. I'm a councillor. And, the questions and decisions that we're asked to make there in committees and on council itself are for the greater good of the entire region or county. So, I'm not there thinking from a Midland-centric position on everything I'm asked to consider. I mean, it's in the back of my mind, of course, but I'm there to serve the entire county, the 500,000 people that we serve. And that's a different perspective than when I'm sitting at my council table locally and looking after the needs of the 18,000 people whom I was elected to serve here.
All right. So
it boils down to sending the right people to these elected roles. And your people's vote really matters, I think, more than ever now, this October 26th. So I just encourage people who are apathetic or just figure, it doesn't matter, get out to vote. When the time comes, get out to vote and pick a good team on your local council, and pick, of course, a good head of council, knowing they're going to be your representative at the regional or county level.
Okay. Mayor Gordon, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. Cheers.
That is Bill Gordon, the Mayor of Midland.